Hey everybody, this is Perch. I'm not a fan of subverting expectations, or at least not marketed that way. I think that there's when I hear companies say this film will subvert your expectations, or I see directors or writers going out and getting interviews talking about how they needed to kind of subvert expectations, it always kind of tells me that the film, the product, the whatever it happens to be, isn't very good. Because if it's good, it's solid, it stands on its own. They talk about what a great story, what a great kind of there's some good twists and turns. They talk about how it's powerful message. I mean, a lot of stuff about the actual content. But if the lead is, hey, we trick the audience, I think it's a way. It's kind of like I my wife equates it to the use of a jump scare in a horror movie, which is, we know we don't have anything really powerful to show you, so we're going to surprise you with we're going to trick you. It's kind of the M. Night Shyamalan of, this film wasn't very good, but there's that twist at the end. It's like, yeah, but the film wasn't good. It's this is the way I felt about the movie Signs. I loved Unbreakable from Shyamalan, but Signs came along and everybody's like, wow, it's such an amazing twist at the end of the aliens and the water. And it's like that film was awful. I'm sorry. I mean, it wasn't happening bad, but it wasn't Avatar Last Airbender bad, but it was still bad. But anyway, that's kind of it. One thing that's we're gonna get to this viewer mail, but on the topic of subverting expectations, there's weird moment, and I've talked about this before, where you find yourself kind of defending something you don't like, just for honesty reasons. So the Last of Us show is going on right now, and I'm out on that show. I think I got to episode 4, and it just the what I thought in my head was I don't need another zombie movie, and I get it, they're not zombies or plant moss creature whatever, but I it just I don't need another one in my life. I've had this before, and plus I played the game. Like I've seen this show already, and I don't care. I I don't need to see more. It's not bringing anything new to the picture. Um, I know Druckmann, the writer, he's quite the character in terms of subverting expectations. But anyway, he gives this interview, and he says basically that I'll get the exact quote, but it's you know we needed to trick the audience. And a bunch of sites, I know Bounding and a couple of others, took that and they applied it to I think the third episode, the one where their characters were gay. It's like we had to trick the audience into seeing gay was basically what people took from that. But that wasn't what Druckmann was saying. He was saying, we basically we hooked them with a zombie premise, like, hey, it's going to be jumps and scares and action and everything else, but then we're going to deliver a human story, kind of a more emotional, more thoughtful story. So we had to trick them into thinking they're getting action, and then we're going to deliver drama. That's what, if you read the entire quote, that's what he meant. He wasn't saying we're going to trick people into gay. It was that we're going to say we're delivering an action film, and then we're not going to do. We're going to give you human moments with a little bit of action, kind of trick. But I find everybody's been mailing me going, what do you think about this director saying he's going to trick people into gay? It's like, no, he didn't say that. That's what he said. Guy's still a douche. This is a tough part. It's like, I still think he's not very good. And I also think that the whole idea of subverting expectations still is a broken one. And the same thing goes for The Last of Us. Look, what's the end result? I'm out. I'm out because in many ways, they didn't subvert my expectations enough. Like, I was hoping for something original. Instead, they gave me something that I've seen. I mean, what you're telling me you're going to put out a zombie type show where, we discover that the humans left behind have actually turned more vicious and maybe more dangerous than the zombies? Oh no, I've never seen that premise ever before. Hey, anyway. This letter writer on subverting expectations says, just a thought. Did Frank Miller initially set the bar for subverting expectations with The Dark Knight Strikes Again? As old-time fans recall, after years of fans asking for a sequel to the 1985 classic, he essentially wrote a parody of the seminal Dark Knight Returns. It's the first time I recall feeling like the creator gave me as a fan a big middle finger while screaming, "Is this what you wanted, fanboy?" Thoughts? Continue to love the channel. Appreciate what you bring to the comics community. All right. So I'm now trying to remember this Dark Knight. This was 2002. I think it was 2002. We got Dark Knight Returns. It was a sequel. It had gone on. The people had. The thing is, I don't remember a lot of people coming into the shop asking for a sequel. Like I don't remember a lot of people saying, we really want to. People were happy with the story kind of the way it was. I don't think there were a lot of people who were clamoring for a sequel. But DC decided they needed one because, sure. And so we got Dark Knight Returns, and it wasn't good. I mean, there's 3 issues, and I wouldn't go as far as to say it was a parody of the original, but it was hard to tell what was going on there. And it didn't, I don't know, the reviews were very mixed. I think a number of people at the time, DC was, I think, pumping money into IGN. So you had a lot of people saying this is, perhaps maybe even more brilliant than it's even smarter than the original, and whatever. It 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 it's I think maybe you're right. Maybe this is the original subversion of expectations. I don't know what was going on in people's minds. And Miller was in a weird place for sure. At that, at the writing of that story. So I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was an element of, I didn't want to do a sequel to this. You people, fuck off. And so that's what got written. I guess I wouldn't be shocked. Now, I don't, Frank Miller is not a guy, I think, who's gone around and intentionally wanted to piss on the fans. He hasn't been that personality type. He kind of does his own thing. And, there was no reason for him to do that comic. I mean, he was well established. He didn't, it wasn't hard up for the money. But there was a certain element of it was a hollow, flat kind of story, and what was done with Batman and what was all these characters. The thing is, The Dark Knight Returns, and maybe this is the bigger point that I think perhaps you and a lot of other readers feel, is that Dark Knight Returns had a good ending. Like it was almost the literal Batman rides off into the sunset, and it's the concept is stripped down. He's inspiring a new generation. He makes his peace with Superman. Just the various pieces seem to fit, and the sequel came along and tried to inject kind of more kind of superhero stuff into it. It didn't feel like, it didn't have the nuance, the depth of the story. It was just bad to a large extent. I don't know. I don't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. And perhaps there was something in there that then led to more of the comic book, like, hey, people really love this. Or this. To me, it's less about subverting expectations, and it's more about the story had an ending, and then it came along and gave you a kind of a new ending. It it took away kind of what it earned. I don't know. I think that to me is the problem. I don't know. Anyway. I also, look, people need to be satisfied kind of with what they have. We saw the same thing with Alan Moore and Watchmen, where, the story had an ending. It had a kind of a reasonable state. And then people came along. The difference is that he didn't get Alan Moore to go do it. In this case, Frank Miller took away his own ending in this case, which is kind of a shame. But anyway, there you have it. I don't know. I'm still kind of wound up with this Last of Us bit. you know, I, I think at the end of the day, it's hard to really wrap my head around um, kind of what went on there, because it's a zombie show, and so I don't know why I don't know why people get that hung up on it. Anyway, um, you get. I was looking for that quote that we're talking about. It's the again, it's been timed. The exact quote, I'll read it for you. It says, sometimes you have to sort of trick the rest of the world into watching these things before they're like, oh my God, it was two guys. I just realized. And this was not Druckmann. I don't know why it's being attributed to Druckmann, but it's this horror guy. Not a whore, but anyway, Peter Horror. Um, anyway, that's the writer. You know what? I fucked this all up. But this is what I get when I read these mails. It's like, what do you think of Druckmann saying this? And I didn't look up ahead of time. Whatever. I, I don't know. I go back to the thing I said at the very beginning. I think it applies to the Dark Knight. And with the addition of be willing to let things just end. Comics should be able to end. They don't need to go on and on and on. If the story is concluded, let it conclude. You don't need to have more. And then if you find yourself selling off of subvert expectations, it probably means you don't have a great product to begin with. That's my take. Anyway, there you go. I subverted expectations by having a good point. Well, maybe not. Thanks for listening.